Hello, Global Issues in the Media. It's me, Dan Denton, your fellow classmate, and today we're going to be talking about my final media project, When It Rains, It Pours, Even in Hollywood, a piece on pandemic impact in the entertainment industry. I'm sure, as all of you know, we love movies, we love distractions, things that can take our minds off of the harsh realities of our society. So, what happens when the whole world shuts down? Do we still have our entertainment? Can we still find a means of escape from the isolation that we've found ourselves in? Or will the entertainment industry sink, just like many other businesses are, due to this global outbreak? Well, in my video essay today, we'll be exploring that. We'll be talking about the movie theater industry taking a monumental hit due to COVID-19. After that, we'll be talking about the movie theater industry and the entertainment industry versus streaming services and how streaming services are taking over during a global pandemic. And finally, we'll be talking about studio-related delays due to COVID-19 and among other things. So, without further ado, how about we just hop right into the video? Everyone can remember a time when they went to the movies or made a trip from the comfort of their home to explore such pop culture related events. As the whole world continues through a pandemic and potentially a second lockdown, everyone begins to look to our entertainment for a means of escape. What does a pandemic entertainment industry look like today? An industry based around group gatherings and a personal exchange between an individual and a company. The movie theater themselves, that is.
This is Snake. Colonel, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
I'm reporting in on coronavirus's impact on the entertainment industry. I'm going to continue on with the video essay. Oh my god, that is not the best Snake impression. I just want to leave this up to kind of explain myself. For those of you who get this, you're welcome, and for those of you who don't, I'm sorry. Anyways, back to the seriousness of the video. While profits continue to dwindle for movie theaters in America, international films like Mulan prove to still have a market for countries with open box offices. The pandemic has devastated the movie theater business in the US for small companies and big companies alike, even pushing brands like AMC to file for bankruptcy and causing Regal Theaters as of October 8th to have suspended all US locations until further notice. Some studios have found success by skipping the box office entirely and going right to on-demand on the streaming services. For example, Trolls World Tour grossed $100 million in revenue, a much higher amount than had been projected for a theatrical release. By contrast, film production struggles to keep up with the demand for new quality films and meet release dates due to the coronavirus-related regulations, infections, and lack of funding. The whole world is suffering economically, fatally, and morally. This can lead to a lot of current issues being pushed below each other due to the rapid reveal of current issues across the media spectrum. This is why so little about the numbers have been released on the movie theater business in the US. The summer of 2020 experienced a boom with drive-in theaters as it was among some of the safest ways to view movies during the pandemic. However, this would be the only good to come for the theaters all over America. As the summer came to a close, more big-name movie theaters were coming forward with quarterly reports, revenue reports, and restructuring their business plans to accommodate for coronavirus regulations and restrictions. At the start of October 2020, there was only 2 movie theater chains open in America. This paints the picture of how severe the financial impacts of the pandemic are. AMC lost $561.2 million in their second quarter due to pandemic-related reasons. In addition to this, reported revenue hit a 99% decrease from $1.5 billion in the previous year to $19 million present day. Cinemark lost $170.4 million in their second quarter, but suffered a devastating blow of a permanently lost $19.5 million for restructuring charges, which included closing theater locations, laying off employees, and early attempts of safety-regulated installations. When it rains, it pours. This leads into another source that gained some traction in the film and movie world. The conservative podcast, The Steve Deace Show, featured a special episode, Top 20 Things COVID Has Taught Us. This episode's guest speaker is a conservative activist and an author, Jake Jacobs. In this episode, they touched on the conspiracy of why the movie theaters haven't reopened as fast as other segments of the economy. Steve and Jacobs go into depth on what they call the right reason and the real reason, where they discuss the right reason versus what they think the real reason for the movie theaters being closed is. The right reason, according to Steve DeAce, is the studios are telling people LA and New York, their top two markets, won't reopen because it takes too big of a crack out of the money they need to make. Steve's real reason comes from the doubt of continued failed attempts of movie theaters rebounding in the economy as many other industries have begun to rebound back. Steve asked the question, so what's really going on here? Is it just panic porn or an attempt to destroy the movie theater industry or both? He says that the right reason is because of the constant movie delays and that Disney has announced prioritizing their streaming platform, Disney Plus, after the experimental international release of Mulan. This leads to the idea of a vicious cycle between movie theaters struggling without new releases and studios not wanting to release new films once the theaters can fully reopen. This ideology is what leads to the real reason in Steve's eyes. The studios are attempting to force movie chains into total bankruptcy to allow the studios to buy the rights of the movie theaters. This is because theaters take 40% of overall money generated from a movie in ticket sales, and the studio gets 60%. But if the studio could buy theaters, they can jump from 60 to 100% revenue. The constant delays at studio productions during the pandemic hurt the budget, waste money on marketing, and lose hype behind movies. Once movie theaters do eventually reopen, the studios alongside the theaters will want to make as much profit as possible to account for the huge impact from COVID-19. This idea of studios using the pandemic as a means of acquiring theater rights is plausible, but only the future can reveal if this is the real reason. Steve is someone who believes that social distancing and maintaining safety precautions is fully possible, but other analysts disagree. In the short CNBC News video, Why Movie Theaters Are in Panic Mode 7 Months into the Coronavirus, Dan Rayburn, principal analysis for Frost & Sullivan, tells a different story regarding there being only a slim chance of people actually following regulations. CNBC shows that 50% of the revenue from tickets is kept by the movie theaters, whereas 80% of the revenue from concessions is kept. Both of these key factors play huge roles in keeping movie chains afloat, yet this is the worst year for the theater industry ever. CNBC said this in their piece about the movie theater and recessions. The movie business has always had a reputation for being recession-proof. Even when the economy is in a downturn, people want entertainment. What do people look for as a means of escape in an isolating global pandemic? Maybe nature, local remote travel, or even what they did before the pandemic. Entertainment. The entertainment industry has been around for quite some time, and within that industry, movie theaters and film studios were the top dogs, up until the invasion of streaming services, that is. At first, the streaming and on-demand platforms were expected to die off, but as the cable television witnessed its own downfall to these continuously growing platforms, the same could be said for the theater industry today. This is due to the mass suspension of movie theaters and their inability to financially recover during the coronavirus pandemic. With stocks of AMC, Cineworld, and Regal all being down at least 70% in this recent year, some film studios have chosen an alternative to turn a profit on their productions, in the form of streaming releases. Instead of having to wait multiple months to rent a recently released movie, their producers and studios have been choosing to premiere their films on said platforms with a surprisingly warm response from consumers. However, there is a divide between moviegoers and at-home film fanatics. This fact alone provides many questions. Will this new digital release stay for good? Will it destroy the movie industry like Steve DeAce suggests? Or will it have a different kind of impact? In order to get a better picture of the current state of the film market, it could be useful to look at some recent news surrounding digital releases versus those in traditional movie industry. Starting off with digital. As previously mentioned in the introduction, Trolls World Tour grossed an estimated $100 million globally based on digital-only release through Netflix. The King of Staten Island debuted on demand, making more than the projected amount for a theoretical traditional theatrical release. As well as this, Greyhound was among the first ever digital premieres on Apple TV. An exception that played both sides was Mulan. Mulan went digital release only for specifically the US, but found success in international theaters, especially in China, as the script and story were even changed for the international release to tailor towards the region's customs and beliefs. The theater industry didn't just roll over and give up. They still have a few tricks up their sleeves to compete with the dominant performance from the streaming services. AMC and Universal made a deal to shorten the theatrical window from the common 90 days to 17 days. What this means is the movies will stay in the theaters for a shorter duration than usual to encourage one-time viewings, safety, and regulation. In theory, still making a slight profit compared to the pitfall of economic loss that they have found themselves trapped in by the pandemic. Despite these efforts, Tenet, a recent film from Christopher Nolan, only made approximately $20 million in comparison to the average $50 million Nolan's films usually generate. Disney's CEO was quoted by Dan Rayburn in the CNBC video saying to Wall Street in an earnings call, "This is not the new norm." This shows that the company heads understand the stakes and must play their cards correctly to ensure a steady recovery after the pandemic. But will production upsets, delays, and even cancellations lead to a not-so-bright future for entertainment as they know it? The one thing in entertainment news that never fails to make it to the top of the media dog pile is delays of upcoming films and infections on sets, especially if it has to do with a star. NBC News provided CNBC's video with the recent movie setbacks. For example, Wonder Woman 1984 was meant to be released in October 2020 after one prior delay, only to then further be pushed back as the movie was set to release in Christmas of this year. And Black Widow was set to debut in her first solo film this September, but that has been delayed for May 2021. Another cause of delays is outbreaks on set, such as what has happened with the new Batman movie starring Robert Pattinson. Batman's actors and crew members experienced infection on set, and it was recently revealed that the lead actor Robert Pattinson tested positive for COVID-19, thus halting production altogether. Breaking news, actually. We interrupt your scheduled program to release the information that Tom Cruise has now had a on-set recorded freakout similar to Christian Bale's, but in a little bit more of a positive light. Now, the video itself is a little disturbing due to the fact that Tom Cruise never seemed like the type of guy to get like this. However, I think the reason's relatively warranted. Tom Cruise, on the set of MI7, Mission Impossible, 7th installation in the series, had a few words to say for some of his co-workers who decided they weren't going to follow COVID-19 regulations. Let's play the clip.
You're back here in Hollywood making movies right now because of us! Because they believe in us and what we're doing! I'm on the phone with every studio at night. Insurance companies, producers, and they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs, you That's it! And you too, and you too, and you! Don't you ever do it again! That's it! No apologies. You can tell it to the people that are losing their homes because our industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay for their college education.
Now, as you can see in the clip, Christian Bale is clearly not happy.
Do I want? No! No! Don't shut me up!
He even mentions that, this job is for people to pay their college education, put food on the tables, stuff like that. He really gets down to the human level, something that a lot of people don't think actors are capable of, especially big-time Hollywood names like Tom Cruise. However, we see a completely different side of him, a more primal but human side. Anyways, back to the video essay at hand. I thought I would integrate this since I had just seen this on social media today and thought it was perfect for the piece. Another crucial part for the production process is a set and film location. For big-name movies like Avengers or even big-name television series like Better Call Saul, they need to rely heavily on crowded scenes in highly populated urban cities to portray a different universe, but one still close enough to ours. Better Call Saul's final season may never get to see the light of day due to Vince Gilligan's production team not being able to film in their desired sets. Like a lot of people, we're going to have to be very creative in where and how we shoot, said Mark Johnson, the veteran producer who oversees the Vince Gilligan hit, whose writers just began collaborating on the series' 6th season. A lot of places just won't let you in. This isn't the case for Better Call Saul, as it is reportedly the main reason for many high-end action blockbusters and television series continually being delayed. Despite this issue in the US, our neighbor Canada has fewer confirmed cases, which allows for production to push through. In an article from the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, they speak with a producer on the set for an adaptation of Stephen King's short story, Jerusalem's Lot. It's pretty apparent that our COVID-19 numbers are low, and that's great for us to be able to come back to and work, said Mark Kenny, a lighting technician. Kenny has been working on the series Chapel Wait, the adaptation of Stephen King's short story Jerusalem's Lot. He said that when work on the project was still suspended in June, he had doubts production would ever resume. But in early August, though, as COVID-19 cases in Nova Scotia remained next to nil, production began. The questions at hand isn't if everyone will see this in the US, but when. In conclusion, coronavirus has had an unprecedented impact across the globe. The entertainment industry, along with the movie theater industry, has suffered great financial losses and may even face bankruptcy due to quarantine. With the home media demands rising, the digital industry will continue to thrive in this pandemic. However, the regulations on film production may lead to a slower bounce back for entertainment collectively. These key entertainment companies will face permanent changes for the future of how consumers will see movies. In addition to this, it is likely that the entertainment industry will continue to follow the set COVID-19 regulations even after the pandemic. Some believe this pandemic has silver linings. The world has been shown that digital releases are possible to profit from, but has also been given perspective on ritualistic ways of movie-going. Digital-only release is unlikely to take over. Analysts struggle to understand what the film industry and the movie theater industry specifically will look like in 3 months' time. Coronavirus has not only impacted these pop cultural industries, but has also changed them. Only time will tell the truth of these repercussions from a global pandemic. Here we are. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed my video essay. It took me a good amount of time, and I'm not going to say that it was easy because I definitely challenged myself with a project like this. There was a lot of moving parts to it that I didn't expect to be there, but luckily I didn't run into any technical difficulties like I assumed I would, since I had been making video entries for Mr. Lee throughout the course of the semester, and each time I would go to record a video, I would run into some sort of issue. But luckily I was able to start doing those video journal entries early on, so I'm comfortable in front of the camera and I'm comfortable with my software finally, which I should be, but I don't use it as much as I'd like. So thanks to this class and you guys, I am able to put forth some content that I didn't think I would be. If you guys like this video, please tell me about it. If you guys didn't like this video, please tell me about it. I'm here for feedback and I'm all ears for anyone's opinions, whether it be I'm right or wrong, or you didn't like it or you loved it. Regardless of that, I hope everyone is having an amazing week. I hope you feel as relieved as I do to be done with school and your finals, since it gets a little stressful, I'm sure, as you all have known and understand. But I just want to say thank you guys for being such an incredible class. I'm so honored to call myself a classmate of yours, and I'm even more honored that we got through this class together. Not that it was a challenge, but we certainly all put in our best effort into making great pieces and discussion rooms for Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee, this part's for you. I just want to say thank you for allowing me to not only survive my semester, but make it a stress-free, anxiety-free, and depression-free semester. I'm very happy that you allowed me to do this. I had second thoughts, but that was just the procrastinator in me trying to take over. But I kicked that guy off the wheel and said, no, we're doing it this way and we're gonna try our heart out. And here I am trying my heart out. So hopefully you guys can see that. I just want to say thank you again for all the support, and I will see you guys, well, whenever I see you guys.